Okay, that's great. Welcome, everybody. I wanted to make sure we got recorded because Jennifer Bailey asked to have the recording sent out to her. And of course, we want to send it out to all the members anyway. Welcome to our Advancing Human Rights monthly meeting. And I know you all, and I think you all know me, so that's great. I hope we can do a little check-in. I wanted to just say hello first. And Joan, do you want to check in first?
Okay, I'm unmuted and have the video on. Amazing. Okay, yeah, well, as you all know, I'm in San Jose and I'm still trying to catch up and do some more transition to Donna with more information we've been getting on the listserv. We were talking about, we've been getting weird messages, spam messages, but once in a while there's a real one. So we're working on getting that both. We'll probably be sending out a message to ask you to send the list of your subcommittee members so that we can be sure that they're on the listserv for AHR.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we can talk about that a little more later.
Yeah, that was more like an agenda item. Sorry, but that's what I have on my mind. How's that?
Okay, that's all right. Robin, you're next on my screen.
Okay, I am here in Burlington, Vermont, WILF. We're planning a series for next fall of little meetings that will go on our local TV. And I went to Bread and Puppet yesterday and all is good.
Great. And Pat O'Brien.
Hi, I'm on Cape Cod and it's raining. And I don't know what else I have to report because I haven't really done anything.
That's just a check-in, just to check in.
Okay, that's it.
We're having a drought here, so rain is really great. George?
Good afternoon, George Friday here, Southern Piedmont branch of North Carolina, and I'm doing pretty good. Tiny bit sleep deprived because someone woke me up at like 4 in the morning and I couldn't go back to sleep. But other than that, everything.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it happens.
Someone's phone was ringing.
It's mine.
Okay, thank you. All right, George, I hope you can have a nap. Hello, Teresa. Would you like to check in now?
Sure. Teresa Alamine, and I'm in Columbus, Georgia, the Fannie Lou Hamer branch. And I've been in an interesting discussion on the peace in Ukraine coalition with Marcy from Cold Pink and quite a few others. So we've been going back and forth all night, all day yesterday and today about around ending the war in Ukraine. So that's interesting over the last 24 hours.
Wow, thank you. Diane?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Diane Blake from the Jane Addams branch and live in Fairfax, Virginia. And we're having another wet day here. We've had so much rain this summer. I just never get my cushions, my deck stuff dried out. It seems like it rains before it can dry. And then, so it's just been like that all summer, but at least things are green. So
I wish you could send it up here. We look like hay everywhere. All the lawns are brown and we have you're not allowed to water. So, well, we have subcommittees here in the Advancing Human Rights world. And I wanted to start off with asking about racial justice. Does anyone know of anyone who is doing anything with that subcommittee, racial justice? It hasn't really come on the... Okay, George.
Some months back, we collapsed the work of racial justice because the work of racial justice is being done through ending mass incarceration and the death penalty.
Great.
And, oh, yes, and the other subcommittee. So doesn't really, racial justice as a subcommittee is defunct or.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
that's great. I wanted to make sure because I thought so. And I just wanted to once and for all get it off my mind. And so that is wonderful. I don't see Tina from Borders Migration and Borders and Migration Justice. I believe that's the new name for that subcommittee. So maybe she'll come in a little later.
Tina actually works at a job that has hours that are more strict than George does and various other people. So that may be part of the reason.
So she's never able to make this
Well,
time.
no,
of the
she
meeting.
sometimes makes arrangements and everything, but then.
Okay,
no.
okay, well, that's good to know. Well, we can do some emailing. I can do some emailing to her. Ending mass incarceration and the death penalty is Teresa and George. And what would you like to report about our subcommittee? Because I'm on that too.
Did anyone attend the recent meeting of the Border and Migration Subcommittee?
No.
Perhaps Diane or somebody who attended that meeting can report on that.
Diane, or anyone? Are you able to?
I don't, didn't you ask about, did you ask about mass incarceration or?
No, before that, I asked about the Borders and Migration Justice
Oh, okay.
Subcommittee, and it was thought that you might have gone to the meeting. It was Friday, I think it was Friday night. I meant to go and had a calamity, so.
Oh, I talked to Tina the day of the meeting and told her I was sick and I did not end up going.
Okay, so
So-
we'll get an email update from her then that we can amend our information with.
Well, I'll report on the ending mass incarceration and the death penalty. And George, you help me out because I'm trying to remember what happened at the last meeting. I do believe it was Robin Lloyd who facilitated that meeting. And it was quite powerful with all the guest speakers. So I would appreciate it if Robin could say what she did when Vermont facilitated at our last meeting and all those wonderful speakers she had.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that it was illuminating for me too, and you all urging me to get it together, that that made me call these folks. And since then, there's been there was someone from National Cure, which I've spoken about numerous times, Committee United for the Reparation of Errants, and the guy who founded is Charlie Sullivan. So he came on, and I know him from way back slightly, but anyway, that was nice. And the local person here is Timothy Barrett, who I hadn't met before, but now we're in communication. And in fact, Charlie has sent out an email saying, would you all work on passing the American Declaration for Human Rights? And I had never heard of the American. I know about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which the United States has ratified. I was just checking that. But the American one was passed decades ago, and it was mainly put together by the by the Roman Catholic Church, by the bishops down there. For example, it includes citizenship begins with conception, not with birth. So it has some reactionary elements to it. So I was researching that for Charlie and questioning why he wanted us to put pressure on Leahy and everyone on about this American, and I'm trying to find it right now. I'm sorry, my screen is sort of messed up. So anyway, I felt that was beneficial in terms of the mailing in general, to put me and a few other local Wolf people in touch with other prison reform activists here in Vermont.
Well, just to give people a little background, with the Ending Mass Incarceration and the Death Penalty Subcommittee, we've been rotating around from state to state to help us all see what's happening and the conditions in each of the states around mass incarceration and the death penalty. And I will add that a very important national conference is coming up, sponsored by the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, which will take place January 11th through the 13th of 2023. So George and I are working on that in collaboration with some people of faith in the Columbus, Georgia area, and the Fannie Lou Hamer second annual Human Rights Conference will feature an in-person conference specifically on ending mass incarceration and the death penalty, which will be at the largest Black Baptist church in Columbus. And so the pastor is on board with that. So we do plan to apply for a mini grant, as we did last year, for this year to cover the live streaming and the food and refreshments at the event that will go from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on December 10th, Human Rights Day, here in Columbus. So George, did you want to say any more about ending mass incarceration and the death penalty?
I think we've covered it all, at least for this last month, and gotten people ready for the Fannie Lou Hamer second annual Human Rights Conference.
Yeah, that's a biggie coming up.
That's super. Well, the UN reparations for people of African descent only has one more year to go. That's the next subcommittee that we're talking about. And so,
well, it actually has 2 years and 3 months.
Oh, 2 years and 3 months, right, till 24. Okay.
Because it ends in December of 2024. So we have all of 2023, all of 2024, and the remainder of this year, September, October, November, December. So it's actually 4 plus 24. So it's 28 months.
Yeah.
That coincides with the International Decade for People of African Descent. We're really lifting up the fact that Wilf's 33rd Triennial Congress passed that important resolution, which directs all sections around the world to post the declaration, the UN declaration, resolution that was passed to their websites. So I think the International Wilf is working to get all the resolutions up at the website, but they've sent them around. And so the expectation is that the US section will definitely prominently feature the resolution on its website because it's probably the most action-oriented resolution that passed on July 23rd. And it also calls on the International Secretariat to follow up with all the sections and for all the sections to report to the International Secretariat. So the work that we're doing in the subcommittee is trying to get different municipalities to pass the reparations ordinances. So we had a meeting of our task force here in Columbus, the Fannie Lou Hamer branch and community partners. We had a meeting this past Saturday on the 20th. And on October 5th, the expert, Akinyele Umoja, who spoke at the first annual Fannie Lou Hamer Human Rights Conference, he's going to be presenting his dynamic history of reparations movement in the United States. He'll be presenting that in Columbus on October 5th. And so it will be at the public library in the auditorium with a big PowerPoint presentation that he did for us in 2014, which will probably be updated based on different things that have occurred since then. And so that's kind of what is happening from the Fannie Lou Hamer perspective, but also it's our hope that in Burlington, in San Jose, in Charlotte, and all around, there will be resolutions passed or ordinances passed in branch cities. That's the charge of the UN Decade Reparations Subcommittee. And all of this ends in December of 2024. So the subcommittee goes out of business then. But those of us who are working on reparations will be continuing. But hopefully we'll have those resolutions and ordinances passed so that as branches, we will be continuing to work on advancing reparations for descendants of enslaved Africans until we have been satisfied. George, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, ma'am.
Okie dokie. Well, the one thing that I was hoping that George would have nudged you on, Donna, is the UN for Women subcommittee, because we haven't had a report or any indication of any intent to give a report from that subcommittee for quite some time, and whether or not it's meeting.
That's right. That's right. And I called the convener of that subcommittee, Women, Money, and Democracy. Is
No.
that no?
It's UN for Women. With
UN for Women. And I left a message on her phone, and I've emailed. So that is something that I've been not able to not been able to contact Barbara Nielsen, and I'm hoping that she'll either call me back or email me something. If the committee's inactive, then that's what we need to list it as.
Donna, and
yes?
this is Joan. I did get a message, or I saw a message that Barbara sent out, and I can't remember exactly whether she only sent it to the subcommittee, probably, that asking about dates in September when there could be a meeting.
Okay, well, I guess.
You know what, Joan and Donna, this is fundamentally what is outrageous, because Barbara Nielsen should be sending that message out to the whole Advancing Human Rights listserv, because she has some cozy group of people, which excludes everybody else. And it's a bit outrageous, and that needs to stop. So if
Well,
she's asking,
perhaps when she has a date for a meeting, she will send that out to everyone. We'll certainly hope so.
no. What she should do is ask those of us who are interested what we would like to do for a date, not just a little small group of people that she's dealing with, because several of us have expressed interest in that committee, in that subcommittee. And I would say, Donna, you need to get out front of this as a chair of.
Well,
advanced
I
Right.
have tried calling and
No, you heard what Joan said. She's
Yeah.
trying to set up a meeting in September. So she
right.
needs to understand that message about setting up a meeting in September needs to go to
Go out to
everyone.
everyone. Well, I can certainly
Go
do
to
that. I
everyone.
can, yeah, I can email her that it needs to go out to the whole AHR list.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's fair to let people who are interested in the subject, who might not have had a chance before to be active in it, to get a fresh start. So I can certainly take that request.
Thank you, Donna.
And so that's it on our subcommittees. This goes into the next thing on we've been asked to write an article for the fall winter issue of Peace and Freedom. And so I said yes. There's a deadline of September 15th. She's extending it a little for us. And what I thought, what she suggested, and I thought sounded fair, but we should decide now, is that I write an introductory paragraph and then have a paragraph for what's going to be going on in the fall and winter for each subcommittee. And then it's because she's looking for just a one-page article. So I'm putting it out there. What do you think? What do y'all think? Who would like to chime in on this? Do we agree? Do you agree? Do you want me to write the whole article, or do you think it would be better if each subcommittee wrote their own specifics for what's going to be going on in this next season?
Well, I definitely think it needs a message from the chair, since you are the new chair, and
Yes.
this will be the first Peace and Freedom magazine since you became chair. So I think a little background on that and what the structure is should definitely come from you, Donna.
Okay. Well, I won't
Lord,
send it out until I get it approved by all of you. So, I'll write that up, and then subcommittees could give me a paragraph about their work, and
Absolutely.
and then I would do a closing and see how Melody likes it. And I think it should be a great advertisement for advancing human rights. I mean, the things that were just, the conference coming up at the Ebenezer, and the speakers in October, and all these plans. It's going to be a great way to highlight those.
Well, it's also important for people to understand that advancing human rights issue committee is definitely the most diverse issue committee within the U.S. section. All of the subcommittees, we have leadership of people of color inside of the subcommittees. And most of the issue committees are not looking at things through a racial justice lens. And I think that's important to point out, since we're working to advance human rights, because that is the uniqueness about this issue committee that I think we should be very proud of, and the issues we're working on that directly impact Black, Indigenous, people of color like ending mass incarceration, reparations, migration, and border security. Those are important subcommittees that really relate to an anti-racist approach to human rights. So I'll be glad to say something about
Oh,
that.
great, great. Well, I'm going to reach out right away to each convener and give them a deadline of maybe like September 5th or something, or 6th or 7th, so that then we'd have a week to edit it and make sure that it's what we want to say. Joan had, does anyone have another comment or idea about the peace and freedom issue?
Joan has her hand up. I wonder if it's from last time or if she's trying to say something now.
No, it was from last time. Sorry. That's the traditional forget to take down the hand.
Okay, no problem. No
Sorry.
problem. Well, the next thing on the agenda is the new website. And Joan happens to be on the committee for the website and has given me an update recently that it's almost ready. So we're going to need to be sure to get to the new website, what exactly we want it to say about our commit, like who to contact, what the committee is, up-to-date information, like, because migration, borders and migration just changed their names. So we need to, make sure that the information's correct so that anyone who wants to contact one of the subcommittees gets right to where they're going. So Joan, do you have anything else to add about that? Did I reiterate that?
Yeah, the only thing, I did change the name of the committee because they changed it just before we sent in the information most recently.
Okay.
But all it has on the website now is basically a list of the committees, a general paragraph about the committee as such, and the contact information for you, Donna. So if people want to have the subcommittees get direct information, requests for information contact from people on the looking at it on the website, then I guess the thing to do would be to decide whether you want to just use your personal email or whether you want to have an address set up that can be ongoing then for each of the subcommittees. So that would be the thing that each subcommittee, especially the conveners, because or someone else on the committee who's willing to take the email messages.
Well, what do we think?
That would be it would be up to each committee, I think, each subcommittee, I think. But.
Well, I would definitely want George and I to both be listed for the two subcommittees that we convene with our emails.
Yeah. I think that makes more sense than going through me. I mean, I don't know why we'd need to have that middle step.
Well, Joan, I think, has my email as sarnetwork at Gmail. And I'm pretty sure she has George's email as well.
Well, probably what we need is what Donna said, which is more information about each subcommittee needs to come in so that it's not just a list. Would be nice anyway. And then you can include whatever address you want after you have a chance to think about whether you want your personal addresses on the website or whether you want to do one for the subcommittee that then comes to the current conveners.
Right. I mean, well, just like at least.
Excuse me, Donna, but I really want Joan to hear what we want is our individual emails to be listed, and the name of the subcommittee is enough. We're gonna be in the Peace and Freedom Mag this fall. And so I don't see a need to do any additional.
Any more information?
Not
So-
for the website.
Uh-huh.
Advancing Human Rights Issue Committee has 3 or 4 subcommittees, and lists the names of the subcommittee and the conveners for the subcommittees, so that people, if they're interested, can get more information.
Okay, well, I think it's whatever the conveners want to have on the website, and as long as we're going to have a contact, and I'll ask Tina and Barbara how they would want to do it too. And I don't mind if, they want to go through me, but I just think it's an easier deal if we don't have a middle person gumming up the highway. in the cloud.
The important thing is that we know what our subcommittees are doing.
Yes,
And so if Joan could honor the request and make sure that we're listed as the contacts for the subcommittees that we convene, I would appreciate it.
Get the information from Donna. They will get the
Okay.
information from Donna for the.
yeah, I'll put it together and send it in. So we've been meeting the 4th Monday of the month. And that's been traditionally, have there been any complaints about that, or is that a good schedule for us to keep on? I know that Jennifer Bailey emailed me and wanted to be on but couldn't come, had something else. But I said that we would be sending out the information from the meeting, the recording to everyone anyway. But does anyone want to change the time, or can we schedule the next meeting for September 26th?
Well, I like having a regular time for the meeting.
Yeah.
Like we do for the other subcommittees.
Mhm.
But I would just say that I would appreciate it if George is going to handle setting up the Zoom for the umbrella meetings, that if she could do what we do for the subcommittee meetings, where people actually have to register.
Right.
And so I don't think that was done for this meeting.
No, but I was talking before we started the meeting about the fact that I'm signing up for a personal Zoom. George and I have talked about it. I need it for not only this group, but for some other things that I do. And so I'll be getting that together. I think it's really important for people to register ahead of time, and then they get the reminder about it. And so I'm just so grateful that George has been counseling me on it. And that's on my learning curve to-do list, ASAP list. So I acknowledge that was not the greatest in getting the information out. I'm really concerned that the reminder today didn't go out to the whole listserv. So I'll have to get, because I have the listserv list, and it's got it's huge. It's got everybody. So I'll check into that too. But so then we'll schedule, and maybe we could have in the website information too, that we meet, that the Advancing Human Rights Committee meets the 4th Monday of every month, and then my email, people could email me about that. So I think as much advertising as we can do to get more interested parties involved is the best thing. I'm so happy about doing this article for Peace and Freedom. I think it's great.
Yeah, and the 26th at 2 p.m.
Yes.
Definitely works for me. Now, there are some members of the Fannie Lou Hamer branch who have a little bit more flexibility. And they're working on the ending mass incarceration work here in Georgia. But I must admit, I haven't nudged them to show up at the umbrella meeting. But I will try to get some of the members who have more flexibility during the day from Fannie Lou Hamer to join. And it would be great if other folks in their branches could also do the same,
Yeah.
because the work that we do is really local organizing. And so getting people to invite people from the branches seems important to try to do.
Yes. Hear that, Pat? Pat, are you still with us? She might
Also,
have,
the peace and freedom issue, as you said, Donna, will be
Yeah.
a great thing to refer to as far when we encourage our branch members to find out more about what's going on and join up.
Well, you know, it's always that one-on-one organizing that is most effective, because you can miss things in a magazine. But if we have actual active branch members in our branches, and we're actually doing some local organizing around human rights, it would be really great to invite them. And that's true of all the branches that are represented here today. So George, you could make sure that some of the Southern Piedmont folks could join in, right?
Yeah, Teresa, all I meant was that will be a great resource for us, for people to refer people to it, but also to have the information when we talk to our branch people. Thanks.
Great.
well, I think this has been a good meeting. Does anyone have anything else to add?
Well, I just want to remind everyone that on September 13th, the Black Liberation Caucus and the Middle East Peace and Justice Action Committee have organized a webinar on Palestine and Lebanon, what is to be done. And I got an email from the MENA staff people at the International Secretariat where they sent out the information in English and Arabic, and it's a really great email. So I'm not sure who all received it. George, did you receive the email from Yasmin or Salma?
I received an email about Lebanon and Palestine.
Yeah,
Did
but I
you-
think that came from me. I didn't get anything from international, but I'll double check. I'm gonna
Yeah,
put the registration link
out.
in the chat.
It came out in the wee hours of the morning, this morning. And I shared it with Marcy from Code Pink and a few of the other folks. And so I will send the email to you, George, because I got it in English and Arabic. It is really quite detailed. So it's something that we should try to get around, but I'll forward it to you, George. You know
Thank you.
you know how low tech I am.
Great. I will get it around.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pat, you have your hand up?
I just wanted to make a suggestion. One of the very successful things that we've had at around the anti-racism situation is in the Nauset Fellowship that I belong to is a book groups. And I noticed that the Madison branch has, a book group series of books that, their books, the Abolitionists actually is the book that they're going to be discussing in September. And I believe the Abolitionists is about the prison situation, incarceration, and so on. So I feel like book groups seem to be certainly in our experience at the Nauset Fellowship, is something that you know, we have like 8 or 9 people that consistently come to the meetings, consistently do the homework and do the reading, and really we get a lot out of it. We've already read 5, maybe 4 or 5 books on anti-racism, and it's been very successful. Right now we're reading The Dawn of Everything, which is sort of like a huge history of humanity, which, you know, really debunks all of the stuff that all of us have learned all the way along from grade school right up through the church and the family and everything. So it's a very incredible, long, and very intense and dense book, but our people come every single week to talk about it. It's just amazing.
The
So,
Dawn of Everything is a name?
yeah,
By
The
who?
Dawn of Everything by David Grebner and David Abeno or something like that. His last name is, and it's just it's like conversation with these 2 men, who one's an archaeologist, another one's an anthropologist, and they talk about all of the myths and everything we've been taught, you know, about indigenous people and all of the ways in which politics and equality and all of that. It's very, very, very interesting book, but it's not an easy read and it's not an easy discussion. However, like I said, everybody seems to come and want to do it. And I think a book group in any branch is would be something that people would like participating in. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's an easy way to really get information, to get people interest, and so on.
Is it on Zoom?
Well,
You do it on
Pat,
Zoom?
Yeah, we do it on Zoom.
Okay.
well, Pat, I find that adults learn better by doing. One of the weaknesses of the book club kind of atmosphere inside of Will is that people don't do anything with it. You really have to interact with people who are Black,
Mhm.
Indigenous, and people of color to show that you're really learning something from the books you're reading. And that's what I find fundamentally inadequate. And I know that for those of us in the Fannie Lou Hamer branch, we do the work. We do the work in the community because it's our lives. So we don't need to read books about racism.
Well, that's good, and I, you know, that's, and so on. We do have other things that we do, of course, but it's just that getting people's interest to begin with, and really debunking all of the ways in which we've been kept from doing those things. I mean, we have been, one of the things we're considering in Wilf is meeting at the Heritage Museum, which is, you know, African American and so on, but African American Museum of artifacts and so on. But we've had a hard time really contacting the people there. So, you know, but that's one thing that, you know, sort of has come out of our branch, but it hasn't worked right so far. But, you know, going to the places where people are is very important. I do understand that.
Oh, thank you, Pat. Thank you.
Yeah, we're still following up on that in Hyannis, the Mount Zion Church, and they have a museum, and we have met there before, and it may not be as convenient for some people, but it may be more important than convenience. So,
Yeah.
and Pat and I are working on getting the reparations bill to the Barnstable County at some point, which envelops 14 towns, I think, here on the Cape. I'm not sure how many, but the Cape is a very white place.
Yes, it's really hard here.
Yeah, but we're working to do it. Well, I thank everybody for coming. Is there anything that anyone would like to say as a checkout?
Donna, I will send the recording link to you for you to distribute.
Thank you so much, George. I'm just so appreciative.
Thank you,
of
George.
Thank you. It's amazing what you've done.
Yes.
Thank you.
George, you are amazing.
To teach me too.
Well, Donna, we just love your spirit and I love your voice. You have a special kind of voice that just kind of really oozes out the warmth of your personality.
Oh,
I can just feel the warmth of your personality in your
She
voice.
is. She's
Thank
definitely
you.
that, Teresa.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say what the world
Just
needs now is
Love,
love, sweet love.
She sings.
No, not just for some, but for everyone.
Hey, very nice.
All right then, bye.
Thank you.